Hi guys, happy Thursday, welcome back. This is Mode Bespoke and I'm Atenas. Today's tutorial is for a pony stick toy, and this is to celebrate Dia del Niño, which is Kids Day, and it's a holiday in Mexico celebrated on April 30th. So it's a day we celebrate our kids. We're going to make them a toy. Let's get started. The materials we'll use for this tutorial can be found in the description box below. Starting on the nose of the horse, so you need a magic circle. Wrap the yarn around 2 fingers, insert your hook between the fingers, yarn over, pull through. Now just hold your yarn down, remove your 2 fingers, and we're going to pinch all of this yarn that we had wrapped around our fingers. So just give it a little bit of a tug here, we're going to tighten it. And now we're going to yarn over and chain 1. If a magic circle is a little too difficult for you to do, chain 3 and then slip stitch into the first chain so that you have a circle. So now into our magic circle we are going to work 8 single crochets. So I'm just going to move this yarn out and then we'll hold it so that I have the little tail of the yarn and the yarn for the loop. We're going to work those in at the same time. So I'll hold both of those and we're going to start by making our first single crochet. So insert your hook into that magic circle, yarn over. We've got our 2 loops on our hook, and then we're going to yarn over and pull through both loops, and that is for our first single crochet. And then I'll show you again how to make another one. So holding these 2 threads of yarn, we're just going to insert our hook into the magic circle, yarn over and pull through. And now we have 2 loops on our hook, so we yarn over and pull through both loops. So we have 2 single crochets. We'll make a third one. So we've got our 2 loops, yarn over and pull through both loops. So make another 5 of these. You need a total of 8 single crochets, and I'll see you when we finish. So I just finished my 7th one, and I'm running really short here on this little tail of yarn, so I need to give that a bit of a pull, and I can make my 8th single crochet. There we go. So now I have all 8 single crochets. Just give this a bit of a twist here so it's not all twisted up. And now we can close our magic circle. So pull this little thread of yarn and just pull that as tight as you can, and you've closed your circle. So now for our next row, we're going to start by skipping this little knot right here, which is our first single crochet. It's our chain 1. Go into the very first stitch, which is this one, and we're going to slip stitch. So I've gone through both sides of the stitch. Now I just have to yarn over and pull my hook out. Go, and we're going to be left with 2 loops. So pull that first loop, this one, through the second loop, which is this one, and we've made our slip stitch. So there we go, our first round is finished. So to move on, we're going to chain 1 and go into this very first little stitch right next to the chain, and you're going to make another single crochet. So insert my hook, yarn over, pull through. Now I have my 2 loops, and then just yarn over and pull through both loops. We're going to make 2 single crochets in the next stitch. So we have 1 and 2. And in stitch number 3, after I get a little more yarn, we're going to do the same. So right in this stitch, we're going to make 2 more single crochets, So go into stitch number 3, and we're going to make 2 single crochets. So insert your hook through this stitch, yarn over, pull through, and we're ready to just close our stitch. So that was in case anybody else needed to see how to single crochet again. That is our single crochet. So there we go. And we're going to go into every stitch of the row, or of the round I should say. So every stitch of the round, and make 2 single crochets in every single stitch. So go into stitch number 4, we'll make 2 single crochets. So there's 1, there's 2, and just keep working until you finish. So I've worked my way around and I just put a little bobby pin on the very first stitch so I didn't lose my place. We're going to skip this little chain 1, so this tiny little nub here, and we're going to go into the very first stitch of the round, and we're going to make a slip stitch, and that is so that we can close our round. So I'll remove my bobby pin. You can also use a stitch marker. I just don't have any. I use bobby pins. So just insert your hook, pass this first loop through the second loop on your hook, and we've slip stitched. So there's our next round. For the next round, we're going to start with a chain 1 and single crochet into that stitch right next to our chain 1. So we single crochet 1. Now, if you are having trouble seeing your stitches, you can use a stitch marker so that you can see where your round begins. Like I said, I like to use bobby pins, so I'm just going to put a bobby pin there so I know where I start. We're going to go into the next stitch and make 1 single crochet. We'll go into the stitch after that, and we're going to make 2. So in stitch number 3 right here, we're going to make 2. So we'll make our first single crochet, and then we'll make a second single crochet. So now we have our 2. We're going to go into the next stitch, and we're going to make 1 single crochet. So just 1. So there we go. We're going to go into the next stitch and we're going to make 2 single crochets. So we have 1, and here's our second single crochet. We're going to go into the stitch after that and make 1 single crochet. And in the stitch after that, we're going to make 2. So as you can see, we're making 1 single crochet, then 2, then 1, then 2. So we're going to keep working this way until we finish the round. So keep working 1, then 2, 1, then 2, and I'll see you when we finish. So I've worked all the way around my round. See, I'm back at my bobby pin. So I'm going to skip this little chain 1 space, go into the first stitch of the row, and slip stitch to close my round. So insert the hook, yarn over, pull through the stitch, and pass that first loop through the second loop for a slip stitch. For our next round, we have to increase a little bit to just make the front part of the nose a little bit wider, and then we have to start having it curve in. So to get that curve, now we just chain 1, and we are going to make 1 single crochet in every stitch of the round. Starting with the one right next to our chain, we're just going to start 1 single crochet, go into the next stitch, 1 single crochet, go into the next one, 1 single crochet, so forth and so on until you work your way completely around. So I am now back at the beginning of the round. I just need to slip stitch to join my round. I've made 1 single crochet in every stitch, and we are going to have an increasing row as our fourth, I think. This would be the 4th after our center round. So, or 5th, I guess if you want to count that first one. So we're going to work 1, 1, 1, and then 2. So 1, 1, 1, and then 2. So that's the pattern we're going to work all the way around just to make the nose a little bit wider. So we make 1 single crochet in the first stitch, 1 single crochet in the second stitch, 1 single crochet in the third, and then 2 single crochets in the fourth. So we've got 1, 2, and then we repeat. So repeat this all the way around until you finish the round. So that is 1, 1, 1. So 3 single crochets in a row, and then 2 single crochets on that 4th stitch. So I have finished my row, and I'm on this last stitch, and I have to make 2 single crochets to finish the round. And now I just skip this little chain space, go into the first stitch of the round and slip stitch to close my round. So for this next row, or the next 2 rows, we have to start bringing in the nose. So we have to make it more concave, and we're done making it bigger, so I can fold this. This is what I want on the outside. And we're going to work 1 single crochet into every stitch of the round. So this is the first one, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, all the way around. We're going to do this for 2 rows. So make 2 rows with 1 single crochet in every stitch. Once you make your way completely around, remember to skip that little chain, slip stitch into the first stitch of the round, chain 1, and do it 1 more time. So I'll see you when we finish. Alright, so I finished 2 rows of 1 single crochet in each. I just need to close my round, and we're ready to switch colors. So skip that chain space, make my slip stitch, and go get the next color. So I'm going to cut a nice long tail of yarn. If you're not switching colors, don't worry, you can keep working in the same color. But I'm just making the front part of the nose a little bit beige, and I'm making a brown horse. So, or in the unicorn, I changed the color as well when I made the unicorn. So here's the front part of our nose. This is what it looks like. See, it's kind of looks like a nice little bowl. Now we have to extend this to make the long part of the nose. You know how horses have that long part in front of the nose. We are going to change colors to start working in brown, which is going to be the rest of our horse's head is going to be in this brown. So I'm going to start by just finding the end of the yarn, insert my hook into the stitch I was working on. I'm going to leave a nice long tail of brown yarn so that I can weave that in later. So we can either weave it in or you can make a little knot, however you want. So just yarn over and pull through the loop you had on your hook. And we are ready to start. So here, if you want to make a knot on these 2 little tails, go ahead. If not, you can just keep working. So we're going to work like we did the previous row and start making 1 single crochet in every stitch of the row. So I'll show you a few here so that you see what it looks like now that we've switched our color. But you just need to make 1 single crochet in every stitch. See it? It looks like this. So here are 2 little tail ends. They're just kind of hanging out here on the inside. So work your way around and I'll see you when we finish. Alright, so I've made 1 single crochet in every stitch. Remember to skip this little chain space, go into the first stitch of the round, slip stitch, chain 1, and we're ready to go on. We're going to do another row of 1 single crochet in each one. We have to make it longer, so we're going to make a total of 10 rows. So make 10 rows with 1 single crochet in every stitch. That will give us the length that we need for the nose, and I will see you when we finish. So chain 1, I'm going to start working and I'll see you when we are done. So here it is, guys. I've made 10 rows in brown, and I am now using 2 bobby pins to mark the space where we are going to stop crocheting the bottom part of the nose because we have to make the face. So what I did here is I went to where I began. So here's all the yarn I was working on. And this very first one, the one right where our stitch comes out, that one doesn't count. So go into the second one and you're going to count 10 stitches. So I'm just going to go here, count 10 stitches. All right, and on this 10th one, I'm going to use my stitch marker, bobby pin, whatever it is you want to use, scrap yarn, anything you want to use. And that's where we're going to mark it. We're going to do the same on this other side. So count 10 stitches and then put your little stitch marker, because we're going to crochet up until that first bobby pin. So we're going to work up to here, and then we have to start working the face. So we're going to extend the face out, and that'll start bringing us down so we can make the back of the head. Now it sounds a little complicated. It's really not that bad. So let's just get started here. I'm going to get my hook back at the ready. We're going to start with the chain 1, and we're going to make 1 single crochet up until our bobby pin. So I'll start in this little space. We're going to skip the one that we normally were working when we were working in the round. We started in that same stitch that we had started our chain 1. Now we're going to skip it. So go into the stitch right next to it, and start just making a single crochet in every stitch. So I'm here at the bobby pin here. Okay, just a couple more stitches. Okay, and you're going to leave your bobby pin there or your stitch marker. Just leave it there. We're going to start increasing to make the face a little bit wider, because you know how the face kind of goes up a bit. So leave these markers there. That's going to tell you where to stop. We're going to start working a little bit of an increase so that we make the top of the head a little bit higher. So we're going to work 1 single crochet and then 2, and then 1, 2, 1, 2, all the way to that second bobby pin. So I'll start in the first stitch right here. So this one doesn't count because that's where our bobby pin started. So go into the stitch right next to it. That's going to have 1 single crochet. We'll go into the stitch after that. You're going to make 2 single crochets because we're increasing here. We're going to go into the next stitch and we're going to make 1 single crochet. Go into the one after that and you're going to make 2 single crochets. So keep working this way until you get to that bobby pin. I'll see you when we get there. Remember, it's 1 and then 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, so forth and so on. So we have arrived to our second bobby pin. We're going to make the next row. So we chain 1, turn your work around, and in the first stitch of the row, you start with a single crochet. So we're going to make 1 single crochet in every stitch until we get to that first bobby pin, because remember we're working back around. So 1 single crochet, 1 single crochet, like so, until you get back to that very first bobby pin. I will see you guys when we get there. So we finished our row. Here's that first bobby pin, and in the stitch right above that bobby pin, we're going to make a single crochet, and that will finish our row. Now for the rest of this pattern, we're going to start adding another stitch every time. So we're going to go into this next stitch right here, the one that's right next to our bobby pin, and we're going to make a single crochet. That's going to slowly start bringing down our increase, and it's going to start making the round part of the head. So we're going to work another row, chain 1, and we're going to start to skip this first stitch. So this one right here, we're going to skip it from now on. So we're going to go into that second stitch, and we're going to single crochet. So here's our first single crochet, go into the next one and single crochet, and you're going to single crochet 1 stitch in every single one of the stitches of this row. I will see you when we get to that second bobby pin. So I'll work a single crochet and I'll see you here in just a moment. And look, we're back at our next bobby pin. So I'm just going to finish this last single crochet of the row. So I've got 1 left, and we're going to have to start bringing the face down to the rest of the face. So we have to attach everything. So you see this bobby pin right here, and it's got this stitch right next to it. We're going to bring everything down like that. So we're going to skip this stitch right next to our bobby pin, go to the one right after that, so skip and work into that one. So we are just going to single crochet into that stitch, so the second stitch. We're ready to begin a new row. So see, now we are slowly moving all the way down. So we're going to chain 1, turn our work around, and we're going to skip this first stitch, go into the second stitch. So skip, work into the second one, and we're going to start the single crochet again. So we're going to single crochet 1 into every stitch of the row. And we're at the end again. So here's that last single crochet I need to make. So I'll make this last one. Now we're going to skip all this big old space right here. So this stuff right here. See, there's our bobby pin. Go to that next stitch over and single crochet into that stitch. There we go. Now we can begin a new row. So we chain 1, turn our work around, skip the first one, and just keep working. Now we have to move our bobby pins. So grab your little stitch markers or your bobby pins, because now we have to mark where we need to end up. So our horse needs a neck and we need to make one for it. So go to the very bottom, so go to the middle, which is where our stitching began. You'll see this little nub right here. You need to count 3 stitches to the right and 3 stitches to the left. On that 3rd stitch, you're going to put your bobby pin. So here's that little nub. We're going to count 3 stitches and put our little marker. So there we go. So we're going to have 6 stitches from one marker to the other. So make sure you count them right. There we go. So we should have 6 in here. And we're just going to keep repeating the same rows that we were doing over and over again until we get to the bobby pins. So at the end of every row, add 1 stitch on the bottom part so you can close the face a little more until you get to the bobby pin. So we're going to make a couple more rows, just repeat single crochet in each. If you don't remember how to do that, go back just a little bit on the video. It's just a repeat of what we've been doing. That's going to make the head a little bit bigger, and then we can close it in the back, make it nice and round, and start working on the neck of our horse. So I'm just going to get my hook back in place. So I already made my chain 1. Remember to skip the 1st stitch, go into the 2nd stitch, and we're going to start single crocheting. So keep working on this. Pause the video if you need to. I will see you when we finish. Alright guys, so I have kept working. See, here are my bobby pins. I have made row after row, and here is the head of our horse. You can see it's got a bit of a face now. And now we can start closing the back of the head and make a neck. So we're going to start with a chain 1. Now we turn our work around. We're going to have to decrease so we can close the back of the head. So in this 1st stitch we skip, 2nd stitch is a single crochet. So we single crochet here, and now we have to decrease. So to decrease, we have to join 2 stitches. So insert your hook into the first one, yarn over, pull through, don't close that stitch, go into the 2nd stitch, yarn over, pull through. You will have 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, and pull through. Don't worry folks, I'll do it again. In the next stitch, single crochet. So instead of doing 1 and then 2, 1 and then 2, we're doing 1 and then decrease, 1 and then decrease. Alright, so for that decrease, insert your hook into that 1st stitch, yarn over, insert your hook into the 2nd stitch, yarn over. You have 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, and pull through all 3. We will do this again. Go into the stitch right after that, and you're going to single crochet. There we go. Single crochet. Alright, and now we're going to decrease again. So insert your hook to the 1st stitch, yarn over. There we go. Insert into the 2nd stitch, yarn over. There we go. We've got 3 loops on our hook, yarn over, and pull through all 3 loops. And single crochet in the stitch after that. So now we're working single crochet and then decrease, single crochet, decrease, single crochet, decrease, until you get to the other bobby pin on the other side. Alright, and I've made it to the other side. I'm on my last stitch, which is just going to be a single crochet. So I'm going to finish my row here. Yarn over, pull through 2, and there we go. Now we need to make our next row of decreases. So don't do anything here. That's the neck. You're not going to touch it anymore. So chain 1 and turn your work around. We're going to do the same thing we did last row. So skip this 1st stitch, go into the 2nd one, and single crochet. Go into the stitch after that, and you're going to start a decrease. So we're going to go into the 1st stitch, go into the 2nd stitch. We have our 3 loops on our hook, yarn over, pull through all 3 loops. Single crochet in the stitch after that. And decrease in the stitch after that. So insert your hook into that stitch, insert your hook into the next stitch. We've got 3 loops, yarn over, pull through all 3 loops. Single crochet in the stitch after that one. So we're going to repeat the same pattern that we did in the previous row, which is single crochet, decrease, single crochet, decrease. So repeat that until you get to the end of the row. So just 1 and then decrease 1, decrease. So here I'm at the end, I've got my very last stitch, so I will make my single crochet. And then I start my new row, so chain 1, turn my work around, skip a stitch, and repeat that same decrease pattern. Repeat it for this row and then 2 more rows. You basically want to close it up as much as you can so we can close the head. So you might do 1 or 2 more rows depending on how you're working on this. So repeat it. I will see you here in just a moment. So repeat 1 to 2 more rows, okay? I worked another, I think it was 2 rows, and now I'm here at the end, and this is what it looks like so far. So let me just remove this to show you where I'm at. So you should be about the same. So you see this tiny little bit of a crescent right there. We just need to close that off. So we should just finish it with maybe 1 more row. So let me just get my hook back here in order. So I've got my chain 1, turn my work around, and I'm just going to make 1 single crochet and then a decrease. And that should close that off so that we're going to be flush with the rest of the neckline. And then we can just start working on the neck. So if I move this a bit, you should be able to see this better so you understand what it is I did. So see, now we have it's nearly flush. Now all we have to do is just work around and work around the neck. So this is what our head looks like so far. So it does look a little wonky, guys. Don't worry, you're going to fix all of this with stuffing. Now all we have to do is work on the neck. So we're going to single crochet around several times. So make a few rows of single crochets all the way around, and that will create the neck. At this point, I recommend you start to stuff your horse. I use a pair of old tights these are my daughter's. So I use these to put the stuffing inside because I'm using this organic cotton that I have that is really small and it'll go through my stitches. So just with a pair of old tights or, pantyhose or whatever you have, if you want to use it, I'm just going to cut a big long piece. So just make sure it's bigger than the head. So it's got to be longer. Otherwise, you're going to end up having to make a couple of these and your head can look kind of funny. So here's a nice long piece. I'm going to put some of the stuffing in it already just to make it easier to put it into the horse head. So just give it a bit of a stretch. Grab whatever stuffing you're using. So, like I said, I'm using this kind of funky looking organic cotton. So it's an unbleached, untreated cotton. That's what I prefer to use. You can use whatever you want. They do sell stuffing at craft stores or Walmart or anywhere that you can get crochet and sewing supplies. So I'm just going to put a little bit in and just stuff it into the horse's head. I like to use the pantyhose too because they're or the tights, because they're just really stretchy. So I can put a whole bunch of stuffing into the horse, like the horse head, and then just shape it. So I'm just going to get a couple of handfuls. I'm going to keep stuffing this. It's going to take me a minute. I don't really want you to suffer through this. So keep working on this. Pause the video. I will see you when I finish stuffing all of this. So after a whole lot of stuffing, I am done. So I can shape this a little bit more another time, but I'm just going to start working on the neck to show you guys how this is going to look. So we are going to just remove our bobby pins. I twisted the pantyhose a little bit, or the tights, I keep calling them pantyhose. Give them a little twist and then just kind of tuck them under so that it doesn't open up while I'm crocheting. And what we're going to do is just start working single crochets all the way around and just go around a few rows. So if you're an experienced crocheter and you just want to do that and fast forward this, go ahead. If not, follow along. We're going to just start, here we go, this way, which is where we left off. And we're going to start with a chain 1. And we're going to start working a single crochet into every one of these spaces. So pick the closest space to your hook because they don't quite look like stitches right here in the back of the head. They'll start to look like stitches here in a few of them. But single crochet 1 into each of these spaces until we get to the stitches. So you just kind of have to pull this a little bit so that you can find a place to make a single crochet. The next few rows will be a lot easier since you will have the stitches from the previous row to guide you. So here we go. And go a couple more of these, and then it'll be easy to tell where the stitches are. So here we go. And now we have very clearly visible stitches. So just keep working all the way around, make a single crochet in every one of the stitches, and I will see you when we get there. Alright, so I worked my way around several times. I didn't even bother to slip stitch the round closed. I just kept making a single crochet round and around. I made several rows. Make the neck as long as you want, pretty much. If you want a bit of a longer neck and you want to make more of a mane, then keep crocheting a few more rows. But this is where I wanted to stop, so now would be a good time to put the rest of the stuffing in. So make sure that you shape the rest of the head the way you want it to be and stuff the neck. So I'll keep doing this. I will see you when I finish with all of the stuffing, and then we can close off the neck, and I'll show you how to do the ears, the horn if you're going to be making a unicorn, and the hair. So I'll keep working here and I will see you again in a minute. So I'm done stuffing the pony. So she is ready to go, and I say she because my daughter makes everything a girl, and this is for her. So I finished stuffing. Now if you have a long enough pantyhose that you can make a knot, go ahead and just twist this up, make a knot. If not, you can just kind of pull them to the side, give them a twist this way, and tie them off. So I'm going to make a double knot. If you would prefer to give it a stitch or two, go ahead. If you want to give it a little bit of a drop of super glue or silicone, anything you want, go ahead. I'm just going to tuck this in because my kid is 4, so I don't think I should have any problems here. But we are going to make a row of decreases now, and that's going to be so we have a place to put the tie and to close off this bottom part of the head. So we need a tie to attach it to the stick. So we're going to automatically start with a decrease. So next 2 stitches, just decrease. We're going to go in the stitch right after that and make another decrease. So here are my 2 stitches. We're just going to decrease. So go into the first one, go into the second one, and there we go. Go into the next one, and we make another decrease. So there aren't very many, so I'll just hang out with you while I work on these. So we are almost done with the head. Now we can work on our ears after this. We're going to have to make a little tie as well so that you can tie it around the horse. I'm not going to glue the head onto the stick. If you want to do that, you can choose the best way for you to do that. I'm just going to put the stick into the back of the horse. So that way you know that ahead of time. You're not expecting me to show you how to super glue the head or anything onto the stick. So that'll be up to you. I'm just going to show you how to make the ties. Alright, so I should be nearing the end here. So this should be my last decrease, I think. That's about good. Yeah, so it worked all the way around. Just going to leave a nice long tail of yarn. Go, pull that out. Give that a bit of a tug. Now I'm just going to grab a yarn or a tapestry needle. I'm going to grab a tapestry one. You can use whatever you prefer. Get that all threaded, and we're going to give it a couple of knots and then just weave it in a little bit. So here at the end, just going to make a knot just to keep this from falling apart. So 1 or 2 knots, whatever you prefer. And then we can just start weaving in the end. So I'm not going to make a perfect job out of weaving the end in because I'm just going to stuff the little bit of the end that's left into the back or into the horse head, and you won't be able to see it anyway once you put the stick on and put the stick into the horse's head and have it all finished. So I'll just go through in here, give it a quick stitch. There we go. That's good enough. I'll tuck that in there. And now we're ready to move on to the tie. So here we go. I'm going to move this aside And we're just going to grab our brown yarn or whatever yarn you want. Wrap that around 2 fingers for a slip stitch. So just pull that through. I'll do it again slowly. So wrap the yarn around 2 fingers, insert your hook into that space between your fingers, grab some yarn, hold onto it with your index finger, and we're just going to pull and tighten. So that's our slip stitch, or I'm sorry, our slip knot. And we're going to make a nice long chain. Make sure it's a chain that can go all the way around the horse a few times, because it's going to be your tie. So I'm going to make a chain of 50 stitches. So I'll keep chaining, make a chain, 50 stitches. I'll see you when you're done. And I'm done. So here's my chain, 50 stitches. I'm going to leave a nice long thread here. Just pull everything out and give it a nice tug so that will tighten up the knots. And we're going to weave it in through the head. So grab your horse head. Just pick any stitch. I'm going to pick one in the back to start. I'm just going to use my hook and pull that through the little spaces between those decreases. So they're nice and big. They should be very easy to see. See, they look like giant stitches. You can go into every single one of them, or you can skip one. That's up to you. This is just going to tie off the head closed, and it's also going to help secure it onto the stick. So I'll just thread this through, go all the way around, and I will see you here again in a minute because this might take me just a moment. So I finished pulling this all through. As you can see, when I tighten it, closes everything up. This will help secure it onto the stick, dowel, whatever you're using. If you're going to use a dowel, just insert it into the back of the head like so. Then you're going to tighten this. And if you want to glue it on at this point, you can glue it on. Well, not at this point, I suppose, but if you want to glue it on at this end, you can once we're done with our horse. So we're going to start with the ears, and we're going to need to leave a nice long tail of yarn so that we can use it to sew the ear on. And you're going to want to start with a slip stitch and chain 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we're going to chain one more, and we're going to make a single crochet into the second stitch of the row. So it was chain number 6, and you're going to single crochet in every single one of the stitches. So the remaining 5 stitches, single crochet in each of them. So I'll do that here quickly. And we're done. So here we go. Here's our first row. Chain 1, turn your work around. We're going to start with a decrease. So going to that very first stitch, and we're just going to yarn over, go into the second stitch, yarn over, pull through. We got our 3 loops, yarn over and pull through all 3 loops. Single crochet into the stitch after that one. So stitch number 3, single crochet, and then decrease in the next 2 stitches. So there we go. And single crochet into that last one. So it's kind of small, it's right over here, it's a little hidden. Single crochet into that guy. All right, chain 1, turn your work around. Start with a decrease. So here's the first one, and the second one, there we go. Yarn over, pull through all 3. Single crochet in the next one. And single crochet in that last one. So this one right here, just single crochet into that one. We're not decreasing because we want the ear to be a little bit longer. So chain 1, turn your work around, start with a decrease. So there we go. Single crochet in the last stitch. Chain 1, turn your work around, make a decrease, and that's all you can do in this row. Chain 1, turn your work around, and single crochet. So there's our ear. Leave a little bit of a tail of yarn. You're going to weave this in. So we're going to weave that one in, and that's your ear. You're going to need a second one of these because our horse has 2 ears. So make a second one, repeat the video if you need to, and now we're going to move on to the horn. You're only making a horse and not a unicorn. Stick with me. This is also how you make the mane. So just grab your yarn, leave a little bit of a tail end because you're going to use this to sew. It doesn't have to be lengthy, just a little bit. Start with a slip knot. And if you're making the horn, you're going to chain 10. If you're going to make the mane, chain as many as you want to make the length of the hair. So chain maybe about 4 extra than what you think you need because we're going to make it a little bit wider. So I'm going to chain 10 because I'm showing you how to make the horn. If you're making mane, chain as many as you want. So one long piece of mane for me is about 30 stitches or so. Alright, so we're going to chain 1, and in the second stitch from the end, we're going to just single crochet. So just single crochet all the way back to the other end of your chain. And once you finish that, if you are using this to make the mane, then you are done. This is one bit of hair right here. You're going to do this over and over again until you have made as much hair as you want for your horse. It will curl, so it'll have this beautiful curl to it. So you just have to make as much hair as you want for your horse. So to reiterate, you just make a chain. So if you're making the bangs, I make a chain that's about anywhere between 18 to about 22 stitches, and then just single crochet all the way back up. If you're going to make the rest of the mane, so anything behind the ears, I will make it about 30 to 35 stitches and then single crochet all the way back. Leave a bit of a tail because you're going to be knotting it, so leave it as long as you need to knot it, because when you attach it to the horse, here I'll kind of give you an idea. So here would be like the bangs. So when you knot it up, it's how we're going to attach it to the horse. So leave as much yarn as you need to make a double knot. So that's all you need to know if you're making the mane. If you don't need a horn, you can stop here and fast forward a bit, and I'll show you how to sew everything on. If you're making the horn, chain 1, turn your work around, and single crochet 1 into every stitch of the row. Chain 1 and decrease in the first stitch. So the first 2 stitches you're going to decrease. Go into the stitch after that, and you're just going to single crochet, and the single crochet into the one after that, and single crochet in the one after that. So you're going to single crochet until you have 2 stitches left in the row. So I'll just keep working here, and we're going to get to the last 2 stitches because we're going to decrease in the last 2 stitches. This is going to create a triangle for us to sew together as the horn. So now we have 2 stitches left, and we're going to decrease. There we go. Chain 1, turn your work around, single crochet into every stitch of this row. So I'll try to work quickly because there are not a lot of stitches. So I'll work as quickly as I can to get to the other end of the row. Okay, there's the last stitch. Alright, so single crochet in every one, chain 1, turn my work around, start with a decrease. So first stitch, second stitch, and close it. Single crochet into every stitch until you get to the last 2 stitches. So I'll try to work through this as quickly as I can again. Alright, we've got our last 2 stitches. So here they are, and we're just going to decrease using those 2 stitches. There we go. So see, now we're getting a bit more of a triangle going. Chain 1, turn your work around, single crochet in every stitch of the row. And there we go. Chain 1, turn your work around, and decrease. Now we get single crochet until we get to the last 2 stitches of the row, which isn't very many stitches away. So you have 2 stitches now. Decrease in these last 2 stitches. chain one, turn the work around, single crochet in every one of the stitches. Chain one, turn your work around. We're going to make one decrease, and then we're going to make another decrease. So 2 decreases side by side. There we go. Chain one, turn your work around. There we go, and single crochet in every stitch. So we only have 3 stitches. I'm sorry, 2 stitches. I can't count right apparently. Chain one, turn our work around. We're going to make a decrease. Chain one, turn your work around, and single crochet. Now leave a nice long tail here, because this is what you're going to use to sew the horn closed and to sew the horn to the head. So leave a nice long tail of yarn. You're going to pull everything out, so cut the tail, pull all the yarn out, and then you're going to fold everything in like so, shape it how you want the horn to look, and then sew it closed using your tapestry needle. So there's your horn. You're going to sew it onto the head somewhere between the eyes. So just kind of find the place that you want. You're going to sew it onto your head, and there you go. So that's how you make the horn. You have the ears, make the second ear, and we'll sew everything together. So here's my unicorn's head. Now I'm just going to sew the buttons on. So I want eyes, I want the little buttons to be the eyes. So I'll get those sewed on, and I'll show you how to sew one of those on. And we're going to sew the ears, and then we have to sew all of the hair on. And the hair is just going to be a bunch of, we're going to do a lot of knotting. So for this, if you have a really small crochet hook, that will definitely help. If not, you can use your tapestry needle. So we're just going to start with the eye. So just place the eye wherever it is you want it to go. And then get just needle and thread and just sew it on to the space where you want it to go. You're going to have to sew it kind of sideways, because since you can't really sew in and out very easily, since you'd have to go through all of the stuffing and it just doesn't make sense, we're just going to give it a couple stitches here towards the side. So for me, it helps when I use my thumb to kind of move the button around. So here I can just give a couple of stitches. The first few, just kind of go through the button, and then I can tighten the button. And just with my fingers, I move the button around so that it's kind of diagonal, so that I can actually put the needle through. Since it is a straight needle, I know that there are the rounded needles that you can use as well, but I just have this one I'm going to work with. So just give it a couple of stitches. Don't forget to double knot at the end, and you can just hide the tail end when you're done, kind of like how you do when you crochet. See, I just kind of insert the needle, go through a few stitches, pull that out like that. We're going to cut this. There we go. And then just kind of move it around so we can hide that tail end of of string. And we're going to sew on the other button. So if you're giving this to a really small person, you might want to also maybe glue the buttons down. So now we have to sew the ears onto it. So we're going to use this long thread. So this short thread, we just have to weave it in. So grab your tapestry needle or your yarn needle, get that all threaded. There we go. And we're just going to weave it through. So pick a side, give it a couple of stitches, go all the way through on one side, then maybe change directions, go a different way, or pick a different side and just give it another nice long stitch, or stop there if you prefer. I'm going to leave this tail end, well, no, I could just give it another quick stitch. So it's really short, I couldn't have moved my needle around, so I'm just going to insert my needle back in the direction I want to go, thread it again. There we go. And then just push the needle through and finish hiding that little tail end of yarn. If you have a little bit left, you can just cut it with some scissors. There we go. Now thread the needle with the yarn you're going to be using to sew the ear. And we're going to get to sewing this here. So I'll show you how to sew one of them and then you can go sew the other one. So try to place it here kind of near the eye. So let me get this tapestry needle threaded. There we go. And I just kind of hold it. So I move it around a bit just to see where it's most comfortable for me to hold it and to sew it. Some people can just jump right in and just sew it anywhere. I have to find where it's most comfortable for me. And then I can start to sew it so that I can also hold the ear and not pin it. If it's easier for you to pin the ear down, then pin it down and then sew it. Go ahead. I just kind of hold it. So I'm just going to give a stitch going in one direction. There we go. And then I'm going to turn it around. So I'm going to turn the horse around and stitch in the other direction. So I'll stitch, so I'll make sure that my stitch goes through the ear and that it also goes through the horse's head because we are trying to attach it to the horse head. Keep that in mind. So we go in that direction. Then I'll just turn my horse head. Now I'll stitch through the ear. So we go through the body, through the ear, go in the other direction. Go, turn it around. I'm almost done here, so just bear with me. Go, pull that out. Hopefully this might be our last stitch. Let's see. So we'll go through the head, go through the ear. Go. So maybe I'll give it another one here at the very corner. There we go. Now I'm just going to double knot at the end so that way my ear won't fall off, or I guess my horse's ear because it's really not mine. So give that a knot here. Double knot if you're feeling adventurous. And hide the tail end of your yarn, and the easiest way to do that is just to insert your needle into the horse head somewhere, go along the side, don't just like stab it in, just go through the side. Maybe switch directions 1 or 2 times if you really don't want the ear to come out. Give it one nice long stitch as far as you can go with your needle. That way the rest of that yarn stays in as like stuffing inside the horse's head and it won't come out. So pull that through. I'm going to cut the rest of this yarn that is left. And that is how I sew on the ear. Sew it on however you want. If you prefer to glue it, that's on you as well. I'm going to use my tiny crochet hook to just kind of tuck the rest of this in here. You can also cut it off. But there we go. There's the ear. So we have eyes, we have one ear. If you want to put the horn on, I would do it like maybe between the eyes here. But play around with it, see where you prefer to put that on. And then here, we're going to start adding some of the hair. So I'll show you how to do the hair, maybe just 1 or 2 pieces of hair. And then I'll leave you to do the rest. So I'm going to grab the short ones. So I have short ones for bangs and long ones for the hair that's behind the ears. So I'm just going to pick somewhere here in the middle. So it'll fall down towards like the horse's eyes. I'm going to use a really small crochet hook. If you don't have one, you can just use like a yarn needle or something, because you just have to pull your the yarn through these middle stitches. So just pick anywhere in the middle, go through one of the stitches, just yarn over and pull that through. And just double knot. So there's that one. Let me pull that all the way out. There we go. And make a second knot. And you're just going to pull this yarn through the head of the horse. So somewhere towards the bottom of the face, because all of this is going to be covered with mane. So try to stay towards the center. Just use your small crochet hook and pull the yarn and tuck it into the back of the head. This is also going to give us a bit more stuffing towards the back, so it'll make the hair look a lot fuller. So there's that. Let me zoom out. So there's one of them. And then just do a couple more pieces of hair for the bangs. So here's all of this. I think I did like 4 or 5. And the rest of the hair, you're going to sew it into, or you're going to knot it in a bit of a straight line. So that way it'll fall towards the side. But start up here with the rest of the bangs and just work all the way down in a bit of a line. Make it as nice and full as you want. And that way your horse will have a beautiful mane and it'll be ready to go. So I am done. I added a ton of hair to my horse. As you can see, I sewed it all in a bit of a straight line. So you can make this as full as you want, but this is about where I want to stop. So now all you have left to do is just to add a dowel or any kind of stick or whatever it is you want to the horse, and your pony stick toy, I'm not sure what those are really called, it'll be all done. So I don't have a dowel, I just have this thing. So just put it into the horse's head like so. Use your little cords to tighten it up. If you use a dowel, you can screw a hole into it and then tie it. You can glue it if you want to, but that's it. Your toy is now finished. For those of you still watching, you guys are rock stars and you are champions. Thank you so much for watching this whole tutorial. Hope you enjoy your new toy for the niño. If you have any questions, comments, don't forget to leave them down below. Hit that subscribe button. I post videos every Thursday and I'd love for you to get notifications on those. Hit the like button as well because it makes me feel super special when you do. It makes me feel appreciated. If you want to see written patterns for my tutorials, I do have a blog. The link is in the description box below. Don't have a written pattern for this particular project, but at some point I may post it. So go check on the blog every now and then, see if I post it up there. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you all again next Thursday.